Hey guys, this is Ben from iCrave Network, back with my review of the newest Pixar film, Elemental. In a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together, a fiery young woman and a go-with-the-flow guy discover something elemental. How much they actually have in common. All right, new Pixar movie. I'm a big Pixar fan, which I've said many times, but I just think that Pixar is just the pinnacle of creativity and storytelling. Everything they put out is just so unique and original and fun and heartfelt. So I was very excited for Elemental, and I really enjoyed it. To give you my general thoughts on this movie, it's a sweet little movie that's unoffensive, unassuming, and very entertaining, although not nearly as impactful, resonating, or poignant as other Pixar films. So as always, let me start with the things that I liked about this movie. With a Pixar movie, there are a couple of things you know are going to be true. It's going to be filled to the brim with creativity, and it's going to be visually stunning. And both of these things are true with Elemental. Element City, where this movie takes place, is such a wonderfully designed world with creative integrations of all the different elements. They really took the time to craft a world that makes sense within the context of this story. So many little touches, like for example, how each of the elements travel around the city, just made this world feel lived in. The animation is just stunning. From the very first frame, it is beautifully rendered with incredibly vibrant colors and textures. They definitely were faced with some challenges in this one on how to animate each of the different elements, but I loved the design in this movie and their approach. Now, yet another thing that you expect when going to see a Pixar movie is that it's going to be more than the surface level premise. It's going to have some sort of commentary on a real world issue or something that the people who are watching can really relate to on a personal level, and Elemental is no different. While you might think that this is just a love story between a fire girl and a water boy, which it is, it's much more than that. It's an exploration of the immigrant journey and living up to your family's legacy. It's about finding your own path and pursuing what makes you happy instead of trying to satisfy other people. These themes are mainly explored through the character of Ember, and I thought it was really well done. We see in the opening of this film that her parents immigrated to Element City, where there weren't many fire people, and they really had to make a name for themselves. And then throughout this film, Ember struggles with the desire to make her parents happy, to make them proud, while also pursuing her own desires and interests. Now, speaking of Ember, I thought she was a really well fleshed out character, and she was voiced wonderfully by Leah Lewis. She's a determined, fiery young woman, and she has a lot of personality. The other lead of this film is Wade, a go-with-the-flow guy who is very sensitive and kind. He's performed by Mahamu Athi. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, who also gives a great performance. Now, of course, this is also very much so a romance and Pixar's first rom-com to date. And I really bought into Ember and Wade's romance, and I thought they had really great chemistry. I honestly think this was the perfect film to do as a rom-com, since it's all about the differences that people have, different personalities, different cultures, different ways of life, and how they can beautifully come together. That idea is reflected through Wade and Ember, who are opposites in many, many ways, and on paper should not work. But they're able to find each other despite the challenges and despite all the naysayers and the people who say that they shouldn't be together. So yeah, it's beautifully animated, super creative, and tells a touching love story while highlighting other relevant themes. But it's not a perfect movie. So with that, let's move on to my issues with the film. The biggest issue I had with Elemental was just the overall story and conflict. I was invested in this story for the most part because of the romance at the center. I liked these characters so much that I was able to look past the somewhat slight plot. The story here is about Ember and Wade having to stop a dam from collapsing so that is it a dam? I don't even really know. So that Ember's shop doesn't get shut down. And that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of meat to the story. There's not a lot of interesting elements to this story. The general plot progression just felt odd at points, with a lot of different things going on, a lot of different characters, and a little tying it all together. It kind of reminded me of Zootopia, where you have these two kind of opposing characters with different worldviews in this, super creative world, the city, both on a quest together. They're both kind of on a little bit of a mission together. Though the mission that Ember and Wade were on was just far less interesting, with not nearly as many interesting twists and turns to keep you invested. Also, I thought that the romance storyline here felt pretty derivative and familiar. We've seen this type of rom-com done before. It hits the beats that you expect it to. It progresses in the way that you expect it to, and it didn't do anything to surprise me. This one was somewhat more formulaic, and the plot was a little less textured. I would also say that the writing and the messaging felt pretty heavy-handed at times. They were hitting you over the head with the messaging, and you knew what they were trying to say, but they didn't really tell it in an organic or clever way, if that makes sense. I think this film lacked some of the creativity, some of the freshness of other Pixar films, especially in the story department, but there's enough here to make up for it. It has a great romance, even if it feels somewhat heavy-handed. It has great characters that you really care about, and the animation is phenomenal. Also, one more thing I want to mention, the score. The score by Thomas Newman is great. I really love the score. It's very memorable, very unique. It has different unique sounds to it, and it's one that I'm going to be listening to. So those are my thoughts on Elemental. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you go and check this film out. Please go see it in theaters. It's a wonderful film, and original animated films need to be supported in theaters. We're not gonna get original animated films if we don't go and support them at the box office, if we don't show up. So go and see it, go grab your family. They're gonna love it. Do a double header with The Flash if you have to. Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought of Elemental if you've gotten a chance to see it. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate all of your support. And if you want to check out more of our reviews, you can click on either of the video icons right over there. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.